AI voices narrate my books. Yes, real stories, real characters, my words, but digital voices. Some people freak out, some love it, some aren't sure what to think. Today, I am taking you behind the scenes to show how these voices are made, how real actors are often involved, and why this method works. Hi, I'm Millie Copper, writer of cozy apocalyptic fiction and practical preparedness manuals. Thanks so much for joining me today. I'm a little nervous about today's conversation because I know that AI brings out a lot of really strong feelings. So bear with me while I tell you a little bit about what I'm feeling and thinking, and you can chime in the comments and tell me what your thoughts are, kindly, hopefully. So anyway, I'm happy that you're here with me, and thanks so much if you have joined me before and you're a subscriber. Thanks so much. If you're not a subscriber, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. I do these chit chat videos about once a month, twice this month, just because of the way the days fell. Oh, this is Erwin. He likes to get in the frame when he can. So anyway, I do these chit chat videos about once a month, but the rest of the time I'm usually putting out audiobooks. So full length audiobooks or short stories. I try to have something for you, whether it's a book or a short story or a trailer telling you about the next book that's coming out every Friday. So you can join me every Friday to see what is happening. And if you hit the little bell button down at the bottom, it'll give you a notification when a new release is out. But let's get on to today's subject. First of all, I have to tell you, I got a new camera and I don't really know where to look. So if you see me looking confused, it's because I kind of am. Between the camera and the dog, and I have my notes on my phone, it might be a little crazy today. I'll do better next time, I promise. But I think the camera's going to be better. It's a little higher resolution, so it should come out to be a nicer picture in the end. But I do have my notes and I want to make sure I don't say anything wrong. So I'll be looking at my notes every once in a while. So today we're at the end of January already. I don't know where this year has gone. And next Friday, February 6th, the final installment of the Havoc in Wyoming series will go live. That is My Refuge and Fortress. So that is part 7. And that will wrap up the 7-book installment, the serialized installment. Even though those 7 books are done, I do have a few more books for you in this world. So the story isn't completely over. As I said, My Refuge and Fortress will drop on February 7th. And then in March, April, and May, I'll have what I call the side stories. The side stories are the half stories. Havoc Begins, Havoc Rises, and Havoc Peaks. And each of these books is connected to these 7 books in some way. So I'll make a video just about that, about those side stories next month. I think that'll be my February video. That video will introduce those books better. So today, though, I do want to talk a little bit about My Refuge and Fortress. As I said, this is the wrap up of the 7-book series. And we conclude, I'll use that word, conclude the adventures of the people in Bakerville for now. Bakerville does play a small part in the side stories, but that's not the main focus of those. And I do have a spin-off series in the Havoc in Wyoming world, Montana Mayhem, where Bakerville is again referenced, and Dakota Destruction, where we do see more of Bakerville. So we're not done with Bakerville. Book 7 really does wrap up a lot of the questions that have came up along the series. So I hope that it gives it a nice ending for you and ties it off with a neat little bow. This series, I originally started the first book in the series, I think in 2019. It came out in October 2019. And this book, part 7, went live in April of 2021. So yes. So this dog, I'm just going to take a minute and tell you, he is by my side all day. And now that I am talking, he isn't really sure what's going on because it's kind of quiet here most of the time. Anyway, so I hope that you really enjoy this wrap up of part 7 and that you find it to be a satisfying ending, but that you do want to continue with finding out what happens in the next parts. As with most of the other books that I put here on YouTube, the audiobooks, My Refuge and Fortress is digitally narrated. And that really is the subject of this video, AI narration. It's like a boogeyman or the elephant in the room. Well, we're going to talk about it. So out of the 7 books I have put up, one of the books, Caldwell's Homestead, did use live voice actors, professional voice actors that I hired, did the book. And that was my intention, was to have all of the books done by voice actors. And then we had 2020 come and things changed. I needed to put a pause on that. I mean, it's expensive. It's about $2,000 to $3,000 to have an audiobook done. So I had that one book out and I just left it at that until I think it was sometime in 2021. I talked to a friend who suggested I do my own audiobook narration. So Katie's Journey is narrated by me. And that took me, I think, 8 months to do it. And it's not something I ever want to do again. And truthfully, I did it. It's done. You can listen to it. I have a couple of comments that were left on it when it came out, saying it was a terrible AI narration. No, it really wasn't. It was me. It was me. I narrated Katie's Journey. So Caldwell's Homestead and Katie's Journey are the only live narration books. Everything else on my channel, the full-length audiobooks in Havoc in Wyoming series, the novellas in Havoc, Wyoming, the books in the Lights of the Collapse series, and all of the short stories that go along with each of the series is digital narration, AI narration. AI narration wasn't exactly a shortcut. I mean, it is quicker than 8 months that it took me to do the book. And of course, it is less expensive than the $2,000 to $3,000 that it costs to do a book. And I'm not saying narrators don't deserve that money. They absolutely do. I know after 8 months of trying to narrate a book. But AI narration was a practical way for me to put out these audiobooks and to make the stories more accessible. I do get messages and emails thanking me for putting these books on YouTube, and people seem to enjoy this format. I know not everybody likes having to have a commercial break, but that is how I can recoup some of the costs of putting the books out. And they are here on YouTube, but they're also on Spotify. When I put a book out, Spotify takes AI narrated books. So it goes there, and you can order direct from me at killercozies.com. So those are the options for getting the books. Listen for free on YouTube, get it on Spotify, or buy direct from me at killercozies.com. When I first started with AI narration, I used a company that no longer exists. And the first series I did, Lights of the Collapse, was made using that company. I didn't know much about them or how they did things. It wasn't the cleanest. I had a lot of work that I had to go through and clean up on those books. That was March of last year, I think, when that first book came out. I think I started working on them in January, so about a year. Things have changed a lot. AI narration has come a long ways, for good or for bad. However you look at it, it has come a long ways, but it's still not a push a button and the narration is done. It still takes some time. I go through the narration at least twice and clean it up to make it good. So that first company ended up closing their doors in, I think it was July. They were supposed to stay open longer, but their platform stopped working. And when they shut down, I had to find other alternatives. So now I'm using 2 companies. I use a company called 11 Labs, and I've been using them for the full-length books, like the book that you are going to listen to next week, My Refuge and Fortress. The books that are that length are done in 11 Labs. And for the short stories, I have been using Spoken Press, which is a company I'm very fond of, and I will probably start using them for the full-length books too in the future. What I really like about these 2 companies is both of them. So Spoken uses some of the 11 Labs voices and works together, and 11 Labs and Spoken both have real voice actors that have licensed their voices, and they have an agreement with them so that their voices are sold. And every time I use one of the live voice actor voices, that person gets paid. So it's a really nice way to bring the narrator, a live narrator, into the program. Between using the 11 Labs and Spoken, they even have some of the same voices, so I can carry over my favorite voices between the 2 platforms. And that's really nice. And these voices, just let me be clear, they're not stolen or scraped. They are consented and paid. I have even met one of the voice actors who lends her voice and the licensing of her voice. And this is part of her business model. This is part of the way she's making her living now. Sorry about that. The dog moved. He moved the table. I started using 11 Labs Unspoken with Shields and Rampart, which is part 4. From that book on, I have used the voice of Molly of a real life voice actor called Jessica Ann Bogart. I'm going to put a link down so you can see a short video she did about how she has been lending her voice for AI use. I just found it really interesting. She's very open about it. And as I said, she's another one who this is part of her business model. I really love this voice. And I feel like even though it's a clone, she really does an excellent job of bringing Molly to life. And Jessica Ann has a couple of variations of her voice. And I actually use one of these for the other main character in my Refuge and Fortress, Lucy. So Lucy, we're going to meet her for the first time in part 7. It's funny because Jessica Ann Bogart is such an amazing actress that the voices don't sound anything alike. The Lucy voice, they title it as Eloquent Villain. And sometimes it reminds me, I don't know if you can, do you remember the Rocky and Bullwinkle cartoons, Natasha? It doesn't sound like Natasha. Her voice doesn't sound at all like that. But sometimes I get that impression that it's that whole eloquent villain thing. So I thought it was really good. And no, Lucy doesn't have a Russian accent or anything like Natasha did. It's just, it reminds me of that. What I really do love is somehow that voice comes through with the Lucy that I wrote and her dry, sarcastic humor. That Jessica Ann voice, the eloquent villain, comes through with that. So I just think it's really interesting. And so when you listen to the book, drop me a comment and let me know, what did you think of the Lucy voice? Do you think it was good, that it really highlighted that dry, sarcastic humor? I'd love to know. So please do drop me a comment next week when my Refuge and Fortress goes live and tell me what you thought of the Lucy voice. So as I've mentioned, many of these same voices are currently available on Spoken and in 11 Labs. And Spoken, they make it really easy to find the live actor voices. I can search those out. And so I make a point of doing that. Even if I don't know who that is, when it says it's a live actor, I use that voice when I can, because that way I'm supporting a narrator. And I like that. I feel like this is more of an ethical way to use AI. And maybe I'm just trying to make myself feel better, but it does. I like supporting live narrators, even when I am using AI voices. I'm using their voices that they've authorized to have cloned, and they will receive payment when I use their voice. So it's good. I like it. And I don't know if you saw in the news lately, not that long ago, Matthew McConaughey and Michael Caine, they were both in the news for digitally cloning their voices in 11 Labs. Now, I'm not exactly sure that regular people like me can use their voice, but one that I did see in there that I could use is Burt Reynolds. Do you know Burt Reynolds, Smokey and the Bandit? His voice was authorized by his estate and it's available. I am not saying I will use it, but I don't know, maybe I will. Maybe I'll write a short story specifically to use the Burt Reynolds voice. That could be fun. Stay tuned. I'll let you know if I do that. So even though, as I've mentioned, I'm using these digitally copied voices, digital narration, I am still overseeing the entire process. My team and I go through the audio the first time when we listen for any obvious mistakes. And then I always am the final decision. I want to make sure that the tone is right and that the pronunciations are good and that the AI voice matches my vision of the story. Sometimes I still miss things. I have a book that has a girl named Kaylin in it, and there's a couple of places where the AI narrator says it differently. So I do miss things, absolutely, because I am human. I am not perfect. So please understand, I am doing the best I can listening to the audio and making sure it's good for you, but I will still make mistakes. Hate to admit it. It's true. I do want to also make sure that you know that I know AI narration doesn't replace human talent. I'm hoping at some point it'll be a better coexistence. I think the narrators that are lending their voices to the digital market are trailblazers. A lot of them, it's not easy. They do get people who think they're kind of traitors. I get that too, a little bit. I know that not all authors agree that it's okay to do digital narration, and I completely respect that. It's not my business. It's not my job to tell anybody else how to be the writer, the author that they want to be and how to run that business. stories. So when I get questioned on why I do it, I am okay with people not agreeing with it. Just because I do digital narration, I don't think everybody has to. Again, it's a personal choice. And I have always, from the very first video I put out, have always tried to be very open and transparent about my approach to narration. I've spoken about this in at least one, maybe two previous videos, and the description under each of the audiobooks that is digitally narrated does say that it is a digital narration. So I still get comments sometimes from people that say, oh, why are you using AI? I didn't know this was AI. But I mean, I do try to be clear that it is AI. If you have a suggestion on how I can make it more clear, drop me a comment and just let me know. Do you think that these kind of videos and also saying in the description that it's a digital narration, does that help you to make a decision whether you want to listen to it, or do you not mind whether it's digital or human? Do you have no preference? I'd love to know what you think. So if you do like my stories and how they're presented, then please do make sure that you have subscribed so you can always be notified when a new book is coming out. Havoc in Wyoming Part 7, My Refuge and Fortress, drops on February 6th. And that will conclude the 7-book series, but it's not the last book I'm going to give you. So we have at least those 3 books: Havoc Begins, Havoc Rises, and Havoc Peaks coming up. And while I'm thinking about it, if you haven't listened to Christmas on the Mountain, that's the Christmas novella, be sure you do that, because on February 1st, which is coming up fast, a couple of days, you'll only be able to listen to a sample of it without joining my Readers Club. It is one of my Readers Club exclusive books. And so you'll listen to a sample of it, but then you have to send for a link. So listen to it now before it goes away. Then maybe it'll come back next Christmas. We'll see. But right now, listen to it before February 1st, and then you'll have the complete story there. And if you are watching this after January 31st, you can still get the book Christmas on the Mountain. You just need to sign up for my Readers Club to get it. And there's going to be a link down below for that. And the Readers Club is actually, I email out like every Friday, usually every Friday. I send information about the books and preparedness. There's a lot of preparedness information, especially in January. I've been having a focus on preparedness. So I try to make it really valuable. Also stuff about our homestead and how we're preserving food, different things. So thank you so much for joining me for this Havoc in Wyoming series, and along the way, 6 books so far. And I truly appreciate you, and I appreciate your support for my channel and for listening to my books, no matter which narrator I'm using, whether it's live narration, me narrating, or digital narration. I really, really do appreciate you. So again, thanks so much for joining me, and I'll be back next month with another chit chat video and introduce you a little more to the side stories and what you can expect from them.